Long before the P-38 Lightning earned its fame or its infamy, Lockheed's engineers were dreaming in bold, impossible shapes. In late 1939, they sketched a fighter that looked like no other, twin fuselages stretching out like arms, connected by a central nacelle that housed the pilot. It wasn't just aesthetic, it was radical thinking. The P-38's twin engines promised power, redundancy, and speed, all in a single, intimidating frame. Early test pilots were stunned. Some called it a flying spaghetti. Others whispered, this could be the future of air combat. But the design wasn't just about looks. Twin engines meant the Lightning could fly farther, faster, and carry heavier firepower than any single-engine fighter. Its armament, a concentrated nose-mounted battery of 4 50-caliber machine guns and a 20-millimeter cannon, meant pilots didn't have to converge fire. Every shot counted. Yet brilliance came with consequences. The twin-boom layout created unique aerodynamic quirks. Pilots discovered early that the P-38 could behave unpredictably at high speeds. Turbo superchargers allowed it to reach dizzying altitudes, but also brought mechanical headaches. Engines were powerful and temperamental. On some test flights, the turbo supercharger would fail mid-air, leaving pilots clinging to control at 30,000 feet. True or false, the P-38 could fly higher than any Luftwaffe plane. Take a guess in the comments below. The seeds of legend and frustration were planted. This plane would divide opinion, spark fear, and redefine air combat. But first, it had to prove itself. Over Europe, the Lightning became a headache for its own pilots. The bitter cold of 1943 and 1944 exposed weaknesses that would haunt Allied crews. Its liquid-cooled engines, marvels of engineering in California, struggled in the frigid, high-altitude skies over France and Italy. Condensation would freeze, the superchargers would falter, and suddenly, what seemed invincible became unreliable. Pilots quickly learned that the Lightning demanded respect. Its twin engines could deliver unmatched speed, but mismanage them, and the plane could spin into uncontrollable dives. The Luftwaffe capitalized on its quirks. German pilots discovered that attacking from certain angles exploited the P-38's blind spots. Rumors even spread among American squadrons that some missions were suicide runs in disguise. Would you risk a mission in a plane that German pilots called a flying coffin? Comment below. For all its promise, the P-38 was trapped in the wrong theater. Its strengths, range, firepower, twin engines were wasted in the cold, high-altitude skies of Europe. And yet, across the ocean, the story would flip entirely. Across the Pacific, the same plane that struggled over Europe became a predator. The vast ocean demanded long flights, island-hopping missions, and the ability to survive against Japanese Zeros. Its twin engines, once a source of headaches, became a life-saving advantage. Losing one engine over endless blue meant survival, not disaster. Range, previously underutilized, became its trump card. The Lightning could escort bombers hundreds of miles from their carriers, striking targets the Japanese believed untouchable. Pilots soon discovered a deadly truth. Against the lightly armored Zero, the P-38 was almost unstoppable. Its concentrated nose firepower meant every burst counted, and its dive speed and climb rate allowed Lightning pilots to dictate the fight. Which would you prefer, the nimble Zero or the powerful Lightning? Suddenly, the P-38 was no longer a problem child. It had become a weapon perfectly suited to the theater it flew in, a predator born for the Pacific skies. Some pilots turned the Lightning into a scoring machine. Richard Bong, America's top ace, racked up 40 victories flying the Lightning. Thomas Maguire wasn't far behind, claiming 38. Their tactics were unique, tailored to the twin-engine fighter's strengths: boom and zoom attacks, high-speed dives, and firepower concentrated in the nose that left little room for error. Dogfights became art forms. Climbing above the enemy, Lightning pilots would dive with pinpoint accuracy, unleashing a deadly salvo of machine guns and cannon fire. One pilot recalled, "When we came screaming down on them, they scattered like leaves in a hurricane. You could almost hear the panic. Could you handle 2,000 horsepower under your hands at 30,000 feet? Let us know below." The Lightning was no longer just a plane, it was a symbol of power, precision, and the human courage to master a beast. A plane ahead of its time, but not without flaws. Turbo superchargers allowed it to climb higher than most fighters, while counter-rotating propellers cancelled torque and improved handling. Its firepower, concentrated in the nose, could destroy enemy planes before they even knew what hit them. Yet, brilliance came at a cost. Pilots in Europe discovered that high-altitude dives sometimes led to compressibility, a sudden, uncontrollable increase in speed that could lock controls. Engines overheated under certain conditions, and maintenance crews were stretched to the limit, trying to keep the complex twin-engine system operational. Operational reality clashed with design genius. In Europe, the Lightning was often slower to reach altitude than the Luftwaffe's Messerschmitts in critical moments. Mechanics spent hours patching engines that, over the Atlantic, couldn't tolerate frigid temperatures. Do you think brilliance in design outweighs pilot frustration? Comment your take below. The P-38 was a paradox, ahead of its time, yet at the mercy of human skill and mechanical reliability. From daring strikes to the most dangerous raids, the P-38 left its mark. The interception of Admiral Isoroku Yamamoto, architect of Pearl Harbor, remains legendary. Intelligence pinpointed his flight route over Bougainville, and P-38 seconds were chosen for the task. Their long range made them the only fighters capable of reaching the target, and their concentrated firepower ensured one clean, decisive strike. Low-level strafing runs on heavily defended islands exposed the Lightning's vulnerabilities, yet pilots relied on speed, firepower, and reflexes to survive. Reconnaissance missions deep into Japanese territory added another layer of danger, often solo flights at high altitude under enemy fire. Would you volunteer for a solo recon mission in a twin-engine fighter? Tell us below. In every engagement, the P-38 proved its versatility: escort, interception, ground attack, reconnaissance. Its adaptability defined its legacy. Was the Lightning really the hero we remember, or a flawed aircraft lucky to find the right war? In Europe, it was feared and sometimes mistrusted. In the Pacific, it became a hunter, a predator, a symbol of ingenuity and daring. Historians debate why. Some argue the theater simply matched the plane's strengths. Others credit the skill and bravery of pilots like Bong and Maguire. Rumors persisted of cursed flights in Europe missions where planes mysteriously failed. Yet those same tales became heroic legends in the Pacific. Post-war, aviation enthusiasts praised its innovation, acknowledging flaws but celebrating genius. So was the P-38 a triumph of design or just a theater-specific beast? Comment your opinion below. The P-38 Lightning, hated in one sky, feared in another, and immortal in legend. One aircraft, two destinies, and a story that still sparks debate. Its pilots, heroes, aces, sometimes reckless adventurers pushed the plane to limits no designer could fully predict. History remembers it differently, depending on who tells the story. Some see a flawed experiment, others a weapon of unparalleled effectiveness. Could the P-38 have dominated Europe if not for its flaws, or was it simply the perfect plane for the Pacific? Share your thoughts below. The story of the Lightning isn't just about an aircraft, it's about the delicate balance between genius and reality, risk and reward, and the extraordinary men who soared into history aboard a plane that was hated, feared, and ultimately unforgettable.